Okay, hope theory. Question number 3, how do I use hope theory in my coaching practice? Okay, so when I first started looking for, let's say, a unified theory that would tie coaching together or would make coaching make sense, it felt like a structure that I wanted to study what was happening in positive psychology. And that structure was strong. I did it for 6 months. It was a powerful period for me. I'm looking to start one again in this January, start another similar kind of knowledge seeking period of time. And with that, I really thought it would take me a while to find the theory that made sense, but I found hope theory and immediately it made sense. It's hard to look back on it because now I've been in the model, and a model is helpful when it both simplifies and explains at the same time. And that's what hope theory did. And so because of that, I feel like I look at my own life and the lives of my clients. It's hard for me to know, okay, this is just how I look at it, or this is how I look at it with hope theory, informed by hope theory. It's hard to separate those two. So I'm just going to give the way I look at it, and then I'll split out where hope theory fits into it explicitly. The first thing that helped me make sense of coaching was that it was about the pathway to get to the goal, to get where you wanted to go. So hope theory became, there's an end goal in mind, which involves an action and decision point. And that makes sense. At that point, you're thinking, okay, there's endpoints, I have actions and decisions. It's all, behavioral based out, there's no something hidden behind a wall in shadow. There's no internal yet. It's all observable, behaviorist. If you could, click it with a stopwatch, write it down, measure it explicitly, kind of stuff. Coaching at its best helps clients get there, understand, let's make it explicit. How can you measure it? What would where does the rubber meet the road? There's a part of coaching that I feel like is very hardcore that way. And that's what really helps the profession provide value for clients. Hope theory has that. Good. And I like how it's split up between both action and decision. Though I like having those things feel like they are similar. Where decisions is that, that is our actions, and actions involve decisions. And so, having grace, not feeling like, oh, I should get this already, or I should be able to do this, effortlessly for some reason. There's no, no effort involved. That's not the case, or no decisions involved. So I like that. And then taking it a step further, then when you go behind the wall, go internal, there's a discussion in hope theory, between your character traits, like your being, and your ability to learn or to adapt or to gather or create the pathway that you need to create. There's a learning element involved in your assessment of how well you think you can learn or gather the skills or traits necessary to accomplish what you want to accomplish. And then there's the beingness, going back to the beingness. Then there's the narratives that we have about ourselves and the limiting beliefs and the awareness or unawareness of who we are and what we want to accomplish. You have that in the being part. You now have a model of positive psychology that matches a lot of the learn, be, do that I was used to thinking about that lens through which I looked at coaching. You now have a space where those two things line up. So it felt very like instant a clarification of the learn, be, do model, even adding a few like nuances to it, and putting it into mental space. Like you can see, okay, there's the column with, the learning and the being, and that's internal. That's a narrative that each of us are running right now, where each of us are running this narrative. And that narrative then shifts into actions and decisions. Where does the rubber meet the road? And these actions and decisions can give clues to the learning and the being. And the learning and the being inform the actions, the decisions. Coaching helps optimize all three. And then that leads to an outcome. That leads to something that you're trying to accomplish. And once that outcome is there, once you start to get one or get feedback, then you can start to ask yourself, how can this feedback be useful in the other two columns? And that's just gathering feedback, helping someone look something that's hard to look at and gather feedback from it is so valuable. I mean, coaching does that beautifully. Especially when you can help clients adopt a growth mindset where they can actively try to seek out the hard feedback. That's amazing. And so I use coaching, or this model, learn, be, do, hope theory, with agency, pathways, decisions, and actions, and outcomes. I use these as a mental emotional map, where it's like a filter through which your client's speaking, and you're just becoming curious, and you're just allowing this map to unfold. You're just allowing all the spaces to fill up in this map. And if there's a space that's not being filled, where I ask myself, I've listened to this person, and I wonder, what are they learning about themselves in here? Like, what's the next horizon for them? What's it like for them to be in this space and this big thing happened? Like, wow, that's amazing. Like, what narrative shift happened? All of those, like, that's I'm curious. I want to know, and when you're there in that space, it's almost like you as a coach dissolve. You are more an extension of the other person's experience than you are yourself. And I love that space. That's the space that I want to get into. And it's this space that I feel like is really available to all of us. Everyone does this. Everyone has this ability to connect in this way. We feel it. We do it naturally. For periods of time, people do this. Like, you watch it in the world. People who take an extra couple seconds and really connect. Like, some people do this like very, very naturally. Other people, but you can learn to. And other people do it and you can feel it. And coaches, we do it for longer extended periods of time, and you build up a stamina for it, almost an appetite for it, where when I was working with clients in this space, I felt like my client sessions became these little islands of peace among a sea of torrential, downpour, trying to figure out how to navigate, a business through different periods of time, or, a young family trying to make it and, bootstrap this thing, here we go kind of deal. These periods of time where you connect with someone like this are deeply meaningful. And it's why a lot of people get into coaching. They're good at it. They're naturally good at it. And coaching gives you a framework to be even better and be a professional about it. All right, here we are. So that was 30 minutes, I think. Thank you, everyone. That was a new experience. flying solo. Thank you all for, I mean, really, it's, I feel like we have some change that needs to be accomplished in this world, and it's going to take a lot of people to accomplish it, and to bring kindness and empathy into these fields to help people experience coaching and help yourself, like even grow, professionally, spiritually, in your strengths and empathy and kindness. All of these things, the world and our own lives are enriched, through this work. So thank you for being a part of this community, for being here. And this has been another Coaching to Flourish podcast. I'm your host, John Andrew Williams, and I will see you next week. Bye, everyone.